Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in once again to Queen Ahmadiyyah TV. More than meets the third eye. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. Okay, so this is your spiritual vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and like and share, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Okay, let's see who's in here. Mr. Hotel, Andrea Jones in the house, Pearly. All right, my chat is frozen. Hold on, let me look over here. Juju said Queen has arrived. That's right, you already know. Ethelene, Terry is in the house. Okay, Pearly, Kissed by the Sun, Claudette, Paris. Okay, let's get ready to get into it. Hey, Miss Peaches. My fan page is here. Okay, so with that all being said, let's go ahead and get into it. This is going to be interesting. So we're in Mercury Retrograde, as some of you may know. Okay, we're in the retrograde right now. Hey, Claudette. And this is why strange things have been happening. Did anybody notice during the interview that I did this morning on the other channel how my camera cut off like 3 times and cut right back on? And I kept getting a message saying that it unexpectedly cut off, all right, disconnected. Now, I don't know why that happened other than the Mercury retrograde. You see, during the retrograde, things start to happen. Mechanical and electrical things start to malfunction. This is very common. And people often say that you should not have any dental work done, any surgeries performed, or things like that when Mercury is in retrograde because of these strange things that happen. Now, here's the thing. Even after my camera started acting up, well, then after the live was over and done with, my other computer started acting crazy. Just went to a blue screen, had an error message on there, was making a loud noise, and this went on for over 2.5 hours. I had to call Microsoft to get them to help me with it. The first time I called them, they said, oh, well, it'll start over by itself, it'll restart and it'll fix. But then after they said it takes like 45 minutes. Well, 2.5 hours later, it was still doing the same thing. So I had to call them back. And then they said, okay, well, we're going to have to try to reboot it. So anyway, it was a whole mess. Claudette said, you've been experiencing that too. Yes. Paris said, you've been having dreams. Miss Hotel says, that's crazy. Absolutely. Also nefarious, but these things will happen when Mercury is in retrograde. Okay. It's very common for these things to happen. So what we're going to talk about is some of the things. Are cars included? Yes, absolutely, Juju. Cars are included, beloved. Okay. People have parts break down on the car, like, you need to get something replaced. I remember last year during this time, my son's alternator went out. So yes, other people were having car issues. Okay. And right after my son's alternator went out, my starter went out. So yes, absolutely, cars are included. A whole lot of mishaps is all I'm saying. So now this year in 2023, okay, Mercury retrograde is going to affect some specific zodiac signs. And what we're going to talk about, hey, Emperor Rex, sunspot activate, okay? Hey, Silent D. So what's going to happen is some of the people who have these particular zodiac signs may have already noticed some of these strange things because Mercury has been in retrograde for a couple of weeks now, okay? So let's get into it. I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint and we're going to talk about it. And then we're going to have trivia. Okay, I'm only going to ask like 2 or 3 questions for the trivia because I actually have something to do after this. All right, so we're going to have the trivia afterwards. So let's get into it. I'm pulling up the PowerPoint and then I'm going to share my screen so you all can see it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Here we go. Okay, make sure you all can see that. Okay. How Mercury retrograde will affect each zodiac sign from April through May the 23rd. Okay, so if you're already feeling tired and disoriented, like you're just not yourself, there's a good chance you can blame it on Mercury retrograde. When the planet of communication and cognitive function is spinning backwards from our perspective here on Earth, it has a way of making our brain work twice as hard in order to function. Although everyone will feel its classic symptoms, you need to look into how Mercury retrograde will affect each zodiac sign from April through May the 20th of 2023, because it will always paint a deeper picture of what this experience means for you. Now, although Mercury retrograde is basically universally despised, And that's because of all the problems and chaos that happens during this time. And also, I want you all to pay attention, because if you have people who are fake friends, if you have someone who is defrauding you, lying on you, doing something dirty and low down, they usually are exposed during the retrograde. And if you all remember, when I exposed Wig, it was during the retrograde. Okay, I just want y'all to pay attention. When I started exposing her, it was during the retrograde. And I didn't even think about it to hindsight, okay, till after the fact. So goes on to say that it's universally despised. It's important to remember this experience truly isn't the end of the world. You see, after all, it can only take place around 3 or 4 times a year, which means Mercury retrograde is not only a familiar experience to you, but an integral part of your annual solar journey. Now, lasting around 3 weeks, this retrograde has a way of dredging up unresolved drama from your past, especially if a conversation has been left on read for too long, far too long. As Mercury begins its backward tailspin across the zodiac, it brings attention to situations that remain unsettled, providing you a platform to gain closure and leave the past behind you. Now, Mercury retrograde will affect these 4 zodiac signs the most. Let's talk about them. And so, hold on. Okay, so, however, it's also important to remember that Mercury is considered the trickster planet. Hold on, I think I skipped something. Hold on. Okay, yeah, I did. This one went first. Okay, Mercury retrograde starts on April the 21st and ends on May the 14th. Now, on April 21st at 4:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Mercury will station retrograde at 15 degrees Taurus, because this retrograde begins in Taurus, and the fixed Earth sign associated patience, pragmatism, beauty, sensuality, and practicality. You can expect this experience to force you to go back to the basics and rebuild your universe. It's time to make things a little more stable and grounded, because Taurus craves something it can only rely on for the long haul. Now, however, when this retrograde begins at the 15th degree, you can expect it to shine a light on some pretty mind-blowing drama and bewildering misunderstandings, because the 15th degree sits at the very center of the zodiac signs of the sign span of 0 to 29 degrees. You may find that this retrograde begins at a cliffhanger moment, but with no real resolution. Don't expect instant results and concrete answers, at least until the retrograde is over. However, it's also important to remember that Mercury is considered the trickster planet. And while retrograde, Mercury finds joy in making our lives inconvenient to the max. You can expect an increase in delays, frustrations, miscommunications, and even technological mishaps. And when Mercury is retrograde, plans are rarely ever set in stone. So it's not the most ideal time to sign contracts or make life-altering decisions. Okay. By that same token, this doesn't mean that you need to live in fear, as sometimes you really have no choice but to say, screw you, Mercury retrograde, and do things your own way. Because Mercury stations direct at 5 degrees Taurus, at 5 degrees Taurus, there will be a burst of passion and intensity waiting for you to finish at the finish line when Mercury retrograde finally ends on May the 14th at 8:12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, the 5th degree, which is the Leo degree, you may find yourself feeling ready to express yourself once you finish or once you reach the finish line. Now, the 5th degree is all about standing in the spotlight, taking up space, and owning your power. If this retrograde had you feeling like a damsel in distress, you'll be rescuing yourself like your very own knight in shining armor by the time it's over. Make no mistake, this retrograde is healing your inner child. How Mercury retrograde will affect your zodiac sign. Now, Aries, you've just reached the end of Aries season, which means you've done a lot of thinking about how much you've grown as a person over the last year or the past year. However, as Mercury stations retrograde on April the 21st, it will challenge your whole self esteem, especially if you've been hedging your bets on all the wrong things. Taking place in your second house of stability and self worth, this retrograde may leave you feeling like you have a need for something that you can't satisfy. However, it will also challenge you to rethink what you're choosing to align your values with. With a total solar eclipse in Aries taking place just one day before Mercury stations retrograde, you can expect something major to happen that shakes up your entire sense of self. This retrograde will give you some extra time to gather your bearings before you head into the future. So take your time. Now, with that all being said, it started in April and we're already in May. So some of you likely have already experienced some of these things that they're talking about, right? That they're saying. Now, once Mercury retrograde stations direct on May the 14th, financial issues will begin to resolve themselves, especially if you've been working on healing your relationship with money and getting to the core of the issue. Now, this is for Aries. Okay, I'm talking to the Aries people with this. Remember, money wants to be in your life, but if you believe you don't deserve it or you'll never have it, it becomes a lot harder to see the financial opportunities when they're right in front of you. So it's all about what you think, what you fixate your mind on. Remember, you create your own reality through your thoughts, which are electromagnetic frequencies and energy. So if you're thinking negatively, well, you'll just make the problem worse. Now, Taurus. Now, here's something else they say about Taurus. Get ready, Taurus, because this Mercury retrograde has your name on it, literally. Taking place in your first house of the self, Mercury will station retrograde as of April the 21st, and the experience could lead to a total revelation, a reevaluation of self. Who are you, Taurus? And no, I'm not talking about who you are when someone else needs you. I'm talking about the personality you adopt when you're in people pleaser mode. Okay, I'm talking about the real you, Taurus. It's time to remember the person you've always been, especially if you've set that person aside for the sake of someone else's needs. Now, this applies to my brother. Okay, my brother is absolutely a Taurus, and he's always a people pleaser. He's always doing much more for everybody else than anybody does for him, 9 times out of 10. Okay, his birthday is April the 24th. Now, once Mercury retrograde stations direct on May 14th, you may feel like a different person, or at least a more honest version of the person you already are. Don't be afraid to look inward during this retrograde, because you may feel less inclined to express yourself to others and more in the mood to have a conversation with yourself. Okay? What do you have to say? What do you have to say to yourself about yourself? Remember, for those of you who have the ebook, Positive Affirmations for Your Royal Spirit, you must always have positive self-talk with yourself, because usually when we speak to ourselves, we're saying negative things about ourselves, like, oh, why did I do that? Why was I thinking that? What was I thinking? Why did I make this bad choice? But speak positively about yourself. And if you do something that you want to change, or something you made a mistake or whatever, well, use that as a teachable moment and still say something positive. Don't be too harsh and too critical on yourself. Now, here's what I have to say for the Gemini. Gemini, prepare to do a deep dive into your own psyche, Gemini. After all, Mercury is stationing retrograde in your spiritual 12th house as of April the 21st, which could bring you face to face with some of your inner demons. However, your will to succeed is stronger than any fears that you might have, especially when your emotions are also your most motivating force. Although you may feel more quiet and reserved during this time, This break from the social scene also giving your subconscious a chance to piece together what seems to be missing. Once Mercury retrograde stations direct on May the 14th, you may feel as though you're waking up from a long dream filled with highs and lows. You may feel more rested, as though your subconscious finally had the opportunity to rest from all the commotion you've endured over the past year. Use this retrograde to embrace forgiveness and to truly work on letting go of what's no longer your responsibility to carry. Sometimes that's people that's holding us down. Sometimes it's problems that we burden ourselves with that really belong to someone else. Now, this is for Cancer. If you're a Cancer, pay attention. Cancer, not feeling the vibe? If so, it makes sense because Mercury is stationing retrograde in your 11th house of community on April 21st, which may leave you feeling like leaving the party even though you've just arrived. Now, if you're on the outs with your clique, it may be time to communicate and get to the bottom of what went wrong. However, this may not indicate trouble in your friendship, in your friend group at all. Instead, it speaks to the process of reconnecting with old colleagues, acquaintances, and teammates that you've lost touch with. After all, they might have something to teach you. So prepare to learn a lot about what makes a team work together rather than against each other, because the 11th house also shines a light on your hopes and ideals. You may spend time rethinking your vision for the future and what you want it to look like. Well, I definitely know a Cancer this applies to. Now, once Mercury retrograde stations direct on May the 14th, you began to possess a more positive and healthy attitude toward your peers. While you may feel confident in your decision to create distance between you and the people you've outgrown at this point in your life, you're also creating space for new people to enter your world. Stay tuned for all the new friends you're gonna make in 2023. Now, this is for the Leos in the house. Now, Leo, it's time to set aside your competitive personality for just a little while because Mercury is retrograding through your 10th house of career as of April the 21st. This will likely throw a wrench in some of your professional plans, especially if they were on shaky ground to begin with. Leo, it's time to think outside of the box when it comes to solving work-related problems because you can't always rely on someone to do it for you, because these challenges will also remind you how you handled similar dilemmas in the past. How can you make these experiences, take these experiences and allow them to inform your next move? Once Mercury retrograde stations direct on May the 14th, you'll have a much better understanding of what career move you're ready to make next. You may even feel ready to work your way back up to a position of confidence, know-how, and strength, especially if this retrograde knocked you down a few pegs. Stay humble because everyone has something they had to learn during this retrograde. Virgo, for the Virgos in the house. Feeling a bit lost, Virgo? Well, if so, it's no wonder because Mercury will station retrograde in your 9th house of travel and expansion as of April the 21st. This could take you down an unexpected path. So embrace detours and delays that force you to take the road less traveled. Even if you have no clues where you are, life isn't meant to be lived with a GPS at all moments. Allow the wind to take you somewhere that is both fascinating and confronting. Now, it is during moments where you feel unmoored that you deepen your sense of faith, because life always has a way of bringing you home just when you think you've completely drifted off course. Now, once Mercury retrograde stations direct on May the 14th, you may feel your sense of direction returning, especially if you've been gradually zeroing in on what you're interested in and what you believe in. By the time this retrograde comes to an end, you'll have learned something valuable and experienced something that you never could have planned yourself. Now, Libras. Well, you may be in the mood to settle debts and evaluate the level of return on your investments, Libra. After all, Mercury will station retrograde in your eighth house of transactions on April 21st, which may bring up some financial conundrums that still require your attention. If money is unaccounted for, it's time to locate where it may have gone, especially if your assets haven't been particularly organized. However, this retrograde may also have less to do with money and more to do with the process of letting go and moving on. You may find yourself realizing that you've stayed in a situation way past its expiration date. It's time to make peace and set yourself free. And with a total solar eclipse in Aries lighting up your descendant just one day before Mercury stations retrograde, you can expect this experience to occur at the same time you embrace your major emotional shifts in your relationships. Once Mercury retrograde stations direct on May the 14th, you'll be ready to set fire, to what no longer, has a hold over you and move on, much like a phoenix rising from the ashes. It's time to let go of what you've long since outgrown, Libra. Now, Scorpio, this is for you. Prepare to do a deep dive into your relationship, Scorpio. It's time to evaluate your whole understanding of harmony and togetherness, because Mercury will station retrograde in your seventh house of partnerships on April the 21st. This may bring up the drama or the trauma of heartbreak and the sting of prior disappointments, but only so that you can see how far you've come since these events. You're healing, Scorpio, and in fact, you've been healing. It's time to start processing how much progress you've made, because you don't need someone else to complete you. A relationship thrives when two people feel inspired to come together rather than forced to. All you're responsible for is fulfilling your end of the bargain, Scorpio. Once Mercury retrograde stations direct on May the 14th, communication issues with your allies, enemies, business partners, and significant others will be easier to iron out. You may come to terms with certain relationships you're ready to leave behind, and the relationships you're in the mood to start back up again. Now, this is for the Sagittarius. April the 21st. It will mark the start of a major self-care overhaul, Sagittarius. It's time to take a long look at the habits you rely on, okay, and the routines that carry you through your day. Are they supporting your highest growth? Are they bringing you a sense of accomplishment without draining your energy to the dregs? It's time to rethink the methods, regimens, and rituals that you live by. In other words, it's time for self-reevaluation. Now, once Mercury retrograde stations direct on May the 14th, you may start getting into a better groove when it comes to getting your task done for the day. Productivity is like a muscle. You work hard, you also need adequate rest. And the longer you stay off that horse, the less you love the idea of getting back on it. Don't overthink the process, because it all begins one step at a time. Capricorn. Now get ready, Capricorn, because this Mercury retrograde may be complicated and confusing, but the experience could eventually become rather interesting and enticing. When it begins on April the 21st, it will station retrograde in your fifth house of pleasure, lust, and creativity, which could lower the heat in your current relationship and leave you feeling artistically stifled. However, there's a good chance you may reconnect with an old lover, which will remind you of a feeling that you've been missing. It could even encourage you to pick up a creative project that you've abandoned and pick up where you left off. Now, once Mercury retrograde stations direct on May the 14th, you may feel your creative juices begin to return as you come to terms with what inspired you during these past 3 weeks. You may even feel like you're in the mood to start crushing on someone new or you're feeling prepared to enhance the romance in your relationship. Either way, this Mercury retrograde isn't looking like the end of the world because it will also come with plenty of beautiful experiences. And now we have Aquarius. Aquarius, you may crave human connection, but that doesn't mean a thriving home environment is without its problems, Aquarius. Is there a pile of laundry in your room you've been refusing to fold? Are you and your relatives dealing with the disagreements? Are you working too often to even enjoy being at home? As Mercury stations retrograde in your fourth house of home and family on April the 21st, it will encourage you to heal your relationship with your roots as you water the new ones you've been planting. Home may be the place we come from, but it's also the place we wind up next. Once Mercury retrograde stations direct on May the 14th, you may find the strength to solve conflicts in your family and set the necessary boundaries to protect your energy. After all, dealing with family and domestic issues can be draining, but it's important to remember that you have all the power to create the home and family of your dreams. It all begins with your courage to change things. Now, this is for the Pisces in the house. Uh-oh. You might be putting your foot in your mouth while Mercury is in retrograde. So remember to think before you speak, Pisces. After all, this retrograde will take place in your third house of communication, which could bring up conversations that didn't end on the best note after it begins on April the 21st. Prepare for people who ghosted to suddenly start replying. However, the main thing you need to remember is to triple check all correspondence and make sure you back up your important documents, as tech errors may be inevitable. Didn't I tell you all, because y'all know I'm a Pisces, didn't I tell you all that my computer was messing up, my webcam was messed up today? See, I've already been having tech issues. They're inevitable. Pay attention. Now, once Mercury retrograde stations direct on May the 14th, you may finally come to a conclusion regarding a conflict or never-ending conversation. Allow this retrograde to show you how to find the right words to say what you want to say and encourage you to communicate your intention rather than self-satisfaction. And at the end of the day, it all depends on the approach you choose to take. Whew. That was all very interesting, beloveds. Claudette said your youngest son is a Pisces, okay? So, with that all being said, it's telling me that I clearly need to choose my words carefully because there's a conversation that seems to be never ending. And that's absolutely true. There's something that happened to me days ago, and I've been talking about it every day because it's so bothersome. And so now that conversation needs to end. And if I speak to the person that this conversation is about, I need to choose my words carefully. I want y'all to pay attention. Okay, Miss Hotel said this was a whole masterclass. Yes, Paris said very interesting. Yes. So let me just tell those of you who don't have a membership to this channel, this is why you need a membership to this channel. You see, I was being generous today. I was being generous, you see. And that's why I gave you all this information. Now, normally, this is something that I would do for members only. But alas, me being as nice as I am, I gave you all this for free. So pay attention. Now, with that all being said, Terry Hint said, choose my words carefully. Yes, absolutely. I find myself trying to solve all family matters. Alexa, please play the show Family Matters. Okay. So with that all being said, let's get ready for trivia. Okay. We're going to have the trivia. All right. I'm going to ask 3 questions. Gail said, I knew Queen was coming with it. Yes, beloved. Okay, so let's get into it. Now I'm going to ask the question. Pay attention. The answers are not supposed to be in the chat. Okay. Andrew said, true indeed, Queen. No lies detected. Facts. Thank you, beloved. No answers in the chat. Answers must be sent to the email, the root of all evil 227 at gmail.com. I'm going to give you 40 seconds after I repeat the question twice, 40 seconds for the answers to come in. And the winner who gets the answer in first, the correct answer, well, that person will win. They're going to win my new ebook, Positive Affirmations, right? Positive Affirmations. for your royal spirit. Okay. Hold on just a sec. Okay, here we go. Don't forget to like and share, beloveds. Please make sure you like and share. Okay, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Moderators, please put the link for memberships in the chat in case somebody wants to join. Okay. Memberships cost $2.99, $6.99, $24.99, and $49.99, and you get different perks for each membership category. Okay. So let's get into it. Okay, I'm going to start my clock. Let me pull up this stopwatch. You're going to have 40 seconds. Okay. All right. Curly Girl said, listen and drive it. Okay, beloved. Queen, are the ebooks free for this membership? Here's the thing, Andrea. The ebooks are free for the people who have the self-elevating membership or the higher frequency membership. For those two top tier memberships, the ebooks are free. Okay. And for the higher frequency memberships, the master classes are free. Okay. Now, here's the first question. Here's the first question. And the ebooks are on sale. If you don't win one, you can purchase one for $5. The ones for this month are $5. Andrea said, I have a $6.99 membership. Okay. So, Andrea, with that all being said, if you have a $6.99 membership, anyone with memberships can get the ebooks for half off. Okay. Pay attention. You can get the ebooks for half off. And that's every month if you have a membership that doesn't allow you to get it for free. Here's the first question. Pay attention. 40 seconds on the clock. I'm going to repeat the question twice, and then I'll start the clock. Now, there was a video that I posted for you all about the moon's lunar phases. Okay? Here's the question. So, in that video, I talked about something that the moon represented that pertained to us. You're welcome, Andrea, beloved. I talked about something that the moon represents that pertains to us. Okay. What did I say that the moon represented? I said the moon represented something, right? And it also represented something in us that was hidden. Now, what did I say the moon represented? And what did it have that was hidden? 40 seconds on the clock starts now. Root of all evil 227 at gmail.com is where the answers go, beloveds. Okay, we have 20 seconds on the clock. 20 seconds on the clock. And remember, all of these questions, Bivlin, you should already have the ebook, I believe, because you have a top tier membership. Bivlin, I think you already have the ebook, if I'm not mistaken. Time's up. Let me see what we got here. Let me reset the clock for the next question. Okay, nobody got that one. Okay, here's the answer. The answer was, I want y'all to pay attention because I told you all in the video that the moon represents our inner world, our hidden emotions. Okay. Y'all don't remember that? Like our inner world and our hidden emotions. Okay, so let's get ready for the next question. Okay, Bill said already. Thanks. All right, beloved, you're welcome. Okay, so the next question is going to be 40 seconds on the clock. After I repeat it twice, then the clock starts. Okay, next question. In one of the videos that I premiered for you all this week, I talked about something that fell from heaven that pertained to something that you hold on. Let me see how I want to say this. Okay. I talked about something that fell from heaven and how it represented something that comes from your brain when you raise the Christ within energy. Something that fell from heaven that represents something that comes from your brain when you raise the Christ within energy. Okay. Hey, King Tutoring. There it is right above your comment, beloved. The root of all evil 227 at gmail.com. Okay. Y'all got 40 seconds on the clock. 40 seconds on the clock. Terry Hinton is the winner. Terry Hinton is the winner. Okay, the first answer. I got a couple of right answers, but Terry's the first one. Okay, so Terry, I'm going to send you your ebook. And so the winner is Terry Hinton. And the answer is manna. Manna from heaven. Okay, pay attention. That was the answer. So let me start the clock up. We got one more question after this. We got one more question after this. All right. I just sent Terry her book. So let's get ready for the last and final question and see who is going to win. Likes up, everyone. Please get the likes up. Please like and share. Here's the next question. Okay, so 40 seconds on the clock, and the clock is going to start. It's going to start. Andrea said it's in the Bible. Yes, it's absolutely in the Bible, beloved. Okay, here's the last question. Okay, so in one of the videos, I talked about spiritual self-care. And I talked about low vibration and high vibrations and positive and negative people and all of that. Well, I gave an example. I said to you all in that video, I said, some people are low vibrational and have a low frequency. So even if something positive happens in their life, it'll still have a negative outcome because they're so negative. You see, because you can't live a positive life when you engage in negative behaviors or you have a negative mindset. So even if something happens that's positive, it'll end up negative for them. And what was the example that I gave? I said, for example, if you blink, what was the example that I gave? All right. What was the example that I gave of someone being negative and something positive happening and the positive turning into a negative? 40 seconds on the clock. 40 seconds on the clock. Stacy says, Happy Mother's Day. Thank you, beloved. Yes, Happy Mother's Day to all of you whom I won't see or speak to on Sunday. Okay, we got 15 seconds left. 10 seconds left. 5 seconds. It ain't looking good for y'all. Nobody got that answer. Time's up. Time is up. So here's the answer. The answer was the lottery. The answer was the lottery. Remember the video? I said, even if something positive happens and they have a negative mindset or they're a negative person, it's still going to turn out bad. I said, you hear stories all the time about people who win the lottery and then they end up broke. That's because they have a negative mindset. So even though something positive happened in their life, look how it turns out. Okay. Hey, Buckhorse DC beloved. Okay. So that's the end of the trivia for today. I mean, I had a good time playing, even though most of y'all lost. I mean, I'm sorry, beloved. We'll try it again next week. Okay, congratulations to the one winner that we did have, Terry Hinton. Okay, Claudette said, now you remember. See? Okay, Gail said, I feel like I get some spanking every time I come to this channel. No, Gail, don't feel that way, beloved. It's going to get better. Here's the thing. We're going to have more games We're going to have more games. I want y'all to pay attention. My fan page says great live. Thank you, beloved. We're going to have more games because don't you all forget, we're going to start having a game that's going to be similar to Family Feud. We're going to have 2 people. I'm going to drop the link, and we're going to have 2 people up here at a time, and I'm going to ask them a series of questions, and each question will be worth a different amount of points, and whoever has the most points at the end, gets the most correct answers, and has the most points, they're going to win a prize. Okay? The Real I Spy says that was fun, Queen. Thank you, beloved. Thank you. So listen, I hope you all have a blessed rest of your strong end, not the weekend that leaves you in a weakened state. Okay? Enjoy the rest of this lovely day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.